Hi there, crafty friends. Welcome and thank you for joining me. It's been a little while since I've done a video, and I wanted to come back with Pink Fresh Studio because I just love their products and they create such a beautiful scene so quickly and easily. Today we are going to take a look at the Sunlit Table Stamp and Stencil Set, along with the Citrus Still Life Stamp, Stencil, and Die set. And I've also got their new grip mat. I'm going to be using the littlest one. So let's go ahead and get started. We need to do our stamping first, and we need to stamp two images. We need to stamp our table along with our little images that go on the table. So let's get this in our MISTI. And this is a red rubber stamp. So I have taken out the rubber mat. Let's get our paper in there. And I'm going to make sure that I get that in that corner because we are going to re-stamp this after we have stenciled it. So we've got that placed in there. We can pick that up, and I am just going to stamp with Metropolis to start with. And I have to say, I've been gone for a little while. I wasn't gone. I just haven't done a video in a while, and we've just had so much going on. It's not that I didn't want to, but we had so much going on. I even had one lady reach out to me and ask me if I was okay. Thank you, Valerie, for checking on me. Everything has been good here. We have just been super busy. We went on a motorhome trip to the Redwoods. We went on a camping trip locally with friends. I did a class for Firefly Farm in June. And we also, what did I do? Oh, I had to kit for two classes, the June class, and then I also made my kits for the August class, which is still upcoming. And it takes a lot of time to make those kits. So now we're going to go ahead and stamp our Citrus Still Life. And I'm going to leave that rubber mat in there. But I am going to make sure that I get my paper tucked in that corner because we will also re-stamp this. And again, I'm just using Metropolis. And so we've been super busy. It's not that I didn't want to do a video. I just didn't get the chance to, and I have a lot of stuff planned. I really need to get busy. I received some items from Spellbinders I need to do videos on that I need to post, and just all sorts of stuff I have lined up to do. I think that's probably pretty good. We're not going to use all of these images, but we will use several of them. And now we can start stenciling. I am going to start with my table here. And, you know, I saw a few samples online, and all of the samples that I saw, they were like really light and bright and beautiful, but I wanted to do something different. So I am going to go darker and moodier. I Googled dark and moody color schemes, and a lot of them were pretty dark. So I didn't want to really go that dark, but we are going to go a little bit dark. It's definitely out of my comfort zone. It is not a color combination that I would typically choose, but we are going to go for it. So I will just be taping down this stencil. I started with a larger piece than what my stencil is, just so we can get good coverage. And you know what? Let me put a piece of paper under that, just so I don't dirty up my mat too much. And we are starting with Opulence. Everything I use today will be listed and linked in the description below. Oh, you know what? Let's not start with Opulence. First, we are going to do our little windowsill here. And I need to bring in a little bit of masking tape because we are going to do that brown. And I don't want to get my colors muddled. mixed up. And I'm going to go really heavy here. And this is dough. So we've just been super busy, super busy. Oh, and I also built a little house. You know, the little miniature houses that you can get. They're like one-room houses. I did the garden shed. I'll post a picture of it in the video here. And it is so cute. And you know what? I enjoyed that so much that I even ordered 2 more. I have not received them yet, but I did order 2 more. And I just love it. It has a little light, so it lights up, and it is so cute. All right, so we've got that there. Let's move this mask, and then we will do our opulence. And I want to make sure that I tap off. I don't want any harsh lines. And we are going to go a little heavier than normal, but I don't want it so heavy that it's the absolute darkest that it can get. I think that's probably pretty good. I don't want to go too dark. So now we can get this stencil off. We can move on to stencil number 2, and I am actually lining this up with the wood on my window panes. And then I will come in with the same colors again. We're going to start with our dough, mask off that tablecloth, and I'm going to go heavy on the 2 window pieces and lighter on the window sill. And then we can come back in and work on our tablecloth. And we're bringing back in opulence again, but this time I'm not going to go as dark. So we'll just come in nice and light and just add some color. I think that should probably be pretty good. And then we are all done with that opulence for the time being, and see what we got. Oh, I think that's perfect. I might have gone a little heavy with that second layer of opulence, but I think it'll be okay. So now we've got our curtains here. Let's get that lined up. And on your curtains, you've got your curtains, and then you've got 2 little cutouts here towards the bottom. And we will do that second for the little tie. And just get that lined up. And here we are going to come in with sage. Now this is not a green that I use very often, but I think it works perfect for this card. So we'll just come in, and we're actually going to go pretty heavy here with this sage. Get that whole area nice and covered. I want that nice and dark, and I am going to kind of concentrate at that tie and the bottom. So we've got a good coating of sage on there. Now we're going to actually come in with Lush Forest. All my colors will be listed and linked in the description below. And I think this is my big brush I used for that. And we are going to, again, concentrate at that tie. I just really want some definition in here. Concentrate at that tie there, just like that. And you can see how that is already coming together. Let's do our ties. And the ties I am going to do in sage because I really want them to stand out. And I'm just going to come in really light. These colors will fade as they dry. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Pink Fresh has their new color line coming out. I thought it was this summer. I haven't heard anything lately, but I haven't been paying attention either. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get their inks or if I'll switch to another ink line as my main inks. How do you guys feel about that? Would you mind if I continue to use the older inks for a little while? Or do you want to see projects with the new inks that are coming out? So now we'll get our stencil number 4 all lined up. And I'm actually concentrating more on the stripe on my tablecloth than I am my leaves. I will come in with sage for my leaves, and I'm just going to go light, just that quickly. Then we're going to come in with some lush forest, and we're just going to add a little bit of highlight to those leaves. And then we will come back in with our opulence. And here we are going to go really, really dark on our tablecloth border here. Let's get that off of there, and that's perfect. I love how that's nice and dark down there. So now we've got our fifth and final stencil. So for my second set of leaves here, I'm actually going to bring in eucalyptus so we can get a little bit of a darker shade, and I'm going to go heavy. So I'm going to go heavy again, and if you want to, you can come in with a little bit of lush forest at the base of those eucalyptus leaves. I don't know how much of a difference it will make once it kind of dries back, but we'll go for it anyways. And that is our fifth and final stencil. I love that. Those dark, moody colors just go perfect together. So let's put this aside and work on our other panel. And here I'll bring in my brand new Easy Blend Grip Mat. This is the 4 3/4 by 6. I haven't even used this yet. That's going to fit my panel and my stencils perfectly. So this is a 6-piece stencil set, and I am not going to use all of the images. I am not going to use the lemons or the picture. I just didn't want to overcrowd my table. Oh, that grip mat is sticky. It's picking up all my corners. Wow. Wow, that's pretty sticky. I like that. So for my first layer on my cheese, I am going to bring in lemon whip, and we'll go pretty heavy. And then we've got our wine. I'm not even going to put any ink on my opulence brush here. I want to keep that pretty light. And that's that for our first stencil. Then we've got our next, and we've got our lemons, our wine glass, and our cheese, and the little flowers here. So let's bring in some more lemon whip first. I want the little flowers on my branch to be nice and bright. And we're going to start our lemons with some lemon whip, and then we're going to come in with sweet mustard. I tried to keep my color palette here pretty easy, and then we'll just add some highlights. We'll do the second sections of our cheese in sweet mustard. Then we'll come in a little bit heavier with our opulence on that wine glass. I think that should be good. Perfect. Stencil number 3. And for this, we are going to keep it very simple. We are going to come in with sage, and we are just going to do everything in sage. But I want it to be light. Those plates are going to be sage. The bottle is going to be sage. And so is our wine glass. Just nice and light. And that's a beautiful start. Then we've got stencil number 4. And for this stencil, we will come in with eucalyptus. This is the accents on everything, all of our glassware. And I don't want to go too heavy, but I do want those accents to show up. Perfect. Now we will come in with our next stencil, and this is stencil number 5. And we are going to come in with a few different colors. For my little olives, I'm assuming they're, well, no, I guess they are grapes, but I think typically they would be green grapes. We are going to turn them into purple grapes, but let's do our greens first. For our bottle here, we need to come in with some sage, nice and light. We'll hit some sage on our leaves. Then I'll bring in my lush forest, and I am going to do this stem in lush forest and then also highlight my leaves. And I'm just hitting the base of those leaves. So then we can do our grapes, and I'm going to keep this layer relatively light. Then we've got our final stencil here. This is stencil number 6. Let's do eucalyptus for our highlights on our bottle, like we did our other glass items. And then we're also going to do this second set of leaves with eucalyptus. And the same on our little sprig down here. Then I will come in with Lush Forest for this little sprig that's on our cheese tray. It kind of reminds me of rosemary, so I want to make sure that is nice and dark. I will also do my stems in Lush Forest and kind of highlight those leaves a little bit. Then we've got our grapes, and here we want to have a heavier hand than we did last time, just so there's some definition in there. And I think I need a little bit more ink. So let's see what we've got here. And that's beautiful. So now we've got our 2 panels, and we need to re-stamp these in black so we can get some good definition in there. I am going to make sure I put that back in the corner of my MISTI nice and snug. And I am using Honeybee's Intense Black. I do like that we get a nice crisp line with this ink, and it doesn't seem to fade too terribly much. So let's get that stamped. Oh, and that's looking pretty good. I think I'll do it just one more time. Now we can stamp our other panel. Get that lined up in there. And you can really tell a difference when you re-stamp after ink blending. It just makes all your images really pop. That's perfect. So now I am going to bring in my dies, and I am going to get my smaller images die cut out. And I will also trim my panel down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 because I want to have a little border on my panel when we add it to our card base. So I got all my images die cut. I've got my panel trimmed to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 so we get a nice border. I've got everything laid out how I want it. I am just going to add some thin foam squares behind everything except for my little branch here. I am just going to glue that directly. So to give this a little more character, let's bring in a little bit of lemon whip. And I've got that on my big brush here. And I'm just going to go really lightly and kind of give a nice glow through that window. That should probably be good. Then for my sentiment, I decided on let's celebrate the good things. And this set has so many wonderful sentiments. It's hard to choose which one you want to use. I stamped that in my black and I stacked it 3 times. And I will just add that with some liquid glue. And that card is done. I think it came out perfect. I just love those moody colors. I added some foam tape to the back of my panel and then added my panel to a top folding card base, and it came out perfect. I also did one in lighter colors. I was at a loss for what colors to do, so I actually pulled a card out of my color cube and I chose this one randomly. I didn't look when I picked it, and I think I get pretty close. We've got our greens and our blues and the brown curtains. But I really like my moody purple and green. Which is your favorite? Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope everybody is having a wonderful summer. Everything I have used today is listed and linked in the description below. Please leave me a comment. Please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.